Fantasy Footballers Sunday Live.
Woo! 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 It's Sunday! Week 13. What is up, Booklet? Thank you, Brooks. Let's go. You know, on the show this week, we said I was going to be hosting this week. Happy to be here. Someone said, I hate Sunday Live. I don't hate Sunday Live. I love being here. Forces me to get up early and check my lineups and be all the better put together. We were talking about, hey, why don't you come Sunday morning, tilt with Jason? I decided no. I decided, you know what we're going to do this week? We're going to go out there and we're going to win. We're just going to go out there. We're going to see these matchups clearly. We're going to go out and have a good time, make the playoffs, win a championship. Brooks, you want to take that approach today?
Let's do it.
Let's win a championship. Let's get into it right now.
The big picture.
All right, we are talking about the players that are going to be in, out, questionable, and the status of those players. First up, we're talking about superstar quarterback, everyone's favorite at the beginning of the year. Justin Fields is in. That is great news. There's going to be a lot of questions. I mean, he has won you some games, and there's a lot of good quarterbacks you could play this week. What do you do with Justin Fields? We're going to get into that in a little bit. I do think that Justin Fields is a good play this week. It's his non-throwing shoulder, and obviously it's not going to affect his passing, but who cares about Justin Fields passing, right? Will he run the ball? Will he get the shot? Those are the questions. On the other side of the field, Aaron Rodgers is in as well. Remember, he is dealing with, as Andy would say, an abominable injury, but he's going to be able to play through it. His scans were good. The last quarterback update, Matthew Stafford. Shocking news. I know they placed him on IR. Don't worry, he can come back week 17. He won't. They will shut down. From my understanding, they are shutting down the Rams for the rest of the season. So any offensive players will no longer be allowed to play football for Los Angeles. At running back, you have Travis Etienne in. That is great. We had the updates through the week talking about how he's good to go, but then on the practice reports, it's like, well, he's limited. He didn't go back in the game. Sometimes you still have those worries because coach speak is not as good as transactions, but this is a double whammy. Not only is Travis Etienne in, but Darrell Henderson, the running back they picked up off of waivers, is not in. He is out for this game. So that to me gives me a good bit of confidence against the Detroit Lions to fire up Travis Etienne. Christian McCaffrey in. He says he's ready for a full workload. We've talked about the backup situation as well there because I don't think they're going to give him the ball 30 times in the game. That's looking like Jordan Mason as the backup, but I doubt you're going to play any of them. Steelers running backs, Najee Harris. A little bit surprising given what we thought earlier in the week, but he is in a very good matchup against Atlanta. And also awesome news, Jaylen Warren is in. Brooks, that's great for the DraftKings lineup where I now get to play against Andy and Kyle's backup running back, Jaylen Warren, and they aren't able to pivot. Oh, and because I said that now, Jaylen Warren, 2 touchdowns this week. Be sure to fire him up. Not really. He's a backup. Najee's actually, that's a pretty good question because he hasn't been great, and now he's dealing with the injury, but the matchup is good. I imagine you're probably going to put him in. He's at least a flex-level option. Some outs. You've got Rex Burkhead out, so Dameon Pierce, please don't ask me a question about Dameon Pierce. Please. That is the one player I don't know how to answer. And I'm sure I will talk about him in a little bit. Michael Carter, the ankle injury, he is out. J.K. Dobbins out. Travis Homer is out. Now, some of the late-game question marks, you've got Joe Mixon. He remains with the concussion protocol. He would have to clear it. The thing is about that is the concussion protocol requires physical contact before you can clear it, and he did not practice. So I do not understand how he could possibly clear concussion protocol. I fully expect him to be out in the afternoon games. Josh Jacobs, who has been talked about his game time decision, is being reported he's in. So he's good to go. That is also great for my DraftKings lineup. And then Leonard Fournette, Monday night, he is expected to play. So I'm sure his good news means a lot of questions are coming for Rachaad White, and the bad news bears of what do I do with Rachaad White? At wide receiver, Zay Jones, the spot start himself, is in. I don't think there was much question there, but it's nice to see in a great matchup where I'm sure a lot of people are playing Zay Jones. He's that spot start where if you've got these questionable guys, it's like, oh, man, he's the barometer test. It's like, well, if I can play Zay Jones, you probably go Zay Jones. Jamison Williams. Hey, he's going to play football. If you don't know who Jamison Williams is or remember, he is one of the highest drafted rookies this year. If he wasn't injured, might have been the #1 rookie wide receiver taken. He didn't run at the combine because he was injured, but my understanding is he runs a 3.25 40, fastest man on the planet. He's in. You're not going to play him, but you're going to keep your eyes on him. And don't get cute. Don't play him. Darius Slayton is in. In fact, let's talk about the Giants team. If you look at their report, everyone is questionable due to illness. It's the flu bug going around for the Giants. Darius Slayton is in. Kenny Golladay is out, and that is due to the illness. So you're talking about a serious bug going through there. Richie James is in. Basically, everyone is in except Kenny Golladay, but everyone is dealing with an illness. Adjust accordingly. Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton both in. Speaking of illness, Sutton's dealing with an illness, right? That was his injury designation, I believe.
I believe so.
Okay, so he's a little sick. He's not feeling the best, and Jerry Jeudy is back. So for that putrid offense, that's going to make for a lot of questions, I am sure. A couple of out players. You got Romeo Doubs. Out. He'll probably be back next week. Kadarius Toney out. That makes Sky Moore someone that you could probably throw in there. Mike Williams out. We'll have some Joshua Palmer questions to answer. Brandon Cooks was ruled out on Friday, so not much to do there. KJ Hamler's been placed on an IR, and then some later game windows expected to play guys. Deebo Samuel was doubtful. Now he's expected to play. Deebo Samuel is someone that if I can pivot off, like for instance, Zay Jones, a spot start, I would probably put Zay Jones in my lineup. Deebo's amazing. He is a man. Look for that drop, Brooks, okay, because now he's a man. Deebo can make me eat my words here. I assume we got time for the drop now. Now you're a man. But there are a lot of mouths here. I expect him to be on limited snaps, and I expect him to be limited in his physical ability to play like a man. So if you can pivot off of him, he's a 4:05 Eastern game. Jamar Chase expected to play. I think he is a good start. He's not an absolute must start like Jamar Chase usually is, but I can't imagine many options that I would bench him for against Kansas City. And Michael Gallup is expected to play in the late game. A couple of tight ends. Njoku out. Juwan Johnson out. David Bellinger in. You're not going to play David Bellinger, rookie tight end for the Giants, but keep an eye on him. He was looking good before he went out. And Jelani Woods, also known as all of the targets of the Indianapolis Colts last week, he's questionable for the late game window. I don't think he's hot right now, but what we're going to do is see who is hot right now.
He's so hot right now.
All right. Softballs only, Brooks.
And these are from the start-sit tool on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. We're taking the most popular players searched.
Little known fact, I don't know if you know this, Brooks. I use that tool. Like, I make the rankings behind the scenes, and sometimes I will go and I will use that tool. It's really helpful. If you have never tried out the start-sit tool, it doesn't just say, oh, start this guy. It gives context. It gives some information about the matchup, the location. It's a really good tool. You can go 2 players. You can go up to 4 players. If you're a Foot Clan member at jointhefoot.com and cross-positionally, it's an awesome tool. Use that. So what are the people searching up that they are having troubles with, Brooksy?
All right, Jason. Dameon Pierce.
No, I said no Dameon Pierce questions.
Now, we'll save that one. We'll start with Justin Fields, actually.
Okay.
He's the most popular by far. I know you kind of talk about the situation. Let's figure out where that line is. How about Trevor Lawrence versus the Lions or Justin Fields?
Trevor Lawrence versus the Lions. So I looked into this. Trevor Lawrence has been playing great. Is he my start of the week this week? He might be.
Sounds right.
Yeah, I know he was my stream of the week. I really like him. I mean, against Detroit, it's a good matchup. 4 of his last 5 games, he has been a quarterback 1. And I'm going Justin Fields. And here's the reason why. I think that you need the context and you need to like This is look yourself in the mirror situation with Justin Fields because he is a risky play. He's got the injury to his non-throwing shoulder. There's a chance they don't run him as much. I don't think there's any chance that he just doesn't run the ball. That's too important to the offense, and that's his personal skill set. Now, he might not run for 178 yards again, but I believe he'll get the shot, and if he gets the shot, he should be able to play pretty much without limitations. This is a divisional game against the Packers, against Aaron Rodgers, their own owner, and it's at home. So this is a big game. I believe he's going to be good. But the reason is when I looked at both Justin Fields and Trevor Lawrence, they have 4 of the last 5 games or 5 of the last 5 games for Fields been a quarterback one. But not all quarterback ones are the same. Trevor Lawrence's best game is 24 fantasy points over that stretch. He's squeaked in quarterback one finishes, which is great, with like 18 points, 19 points. That's not worth taking the shot to like bench a guy who could put up 40 points, 35 points, 30 points. So I'm going to roll with Justin Fields. I assume you've got other Justin Fields questions. People are probably asking about everybody, right?
How about Lamar Jackson versus Broncos?
So Lamar Jackson has been the player. If you haven't watched this week, we've talked a lot about Lamar Jackson. He's the guy that has been hurting fantasy players a lot after that week 2 and week 3 back-to-back quarterback one finish. Lost Rashad Bateman, has an injured Mark Andrews, and has not been great. He's a guy that I think you can bench if you have another good option. I believe Justin Fields is a good option. I will go Justin Fields over Lamar Jackson against the Denver Broncos. I do want to point out, though, the Denver Broncos are now starting to take the late season injured veterans. I forget who it was. They've got a good defensive piece that just went on IR. So I do think that the Denver Broncos defense, which has been unbelievably great, will start getting worse as the end of the season rolls on, something to monitor. But I will start Justin Fields over Lamar Jackson.
All right. It sounds like you are sticking the upside of Fields is worth it in most cases.
Let me tell you exactly who I'm starting over Justin Fields. Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, those are done deals. Those are for sure. There's no way I'm starting Justin Fields. The questionables where you have to ask yourself, do I want to take the risk that something could happen and he could leave the game early for the upside of Justin Fields? That would be Dak Prescott, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Brady, Lamar Jackson. Those are the guys where I think those might be safer than Justin Fields. Personally, if it's my roster and I'm trying to make the playoffs, I'm putting Fields in. All right, next player.
All right, let's talk Rachaad White, Jason, with Leonard Fournette, the dump truck coming back. Truck. Guys like what? Or expected to, at least.
Yeah, he'll be back.
Which of those two backs would you play?
Oh, in the same
yeah, if you had both of them.
I would go Rachaad White. You've got Leonard Fournette, who is obviously injured enough to miss last week. He missed the second half of the game prior to that, and he's expected to play, but he's obviously not at 100%. But prior to all the injuries, the game that Leonard Fournette got injured in, Rachaad White got the start in that game, and he was playing ahead of Leonard Fournette. So I can't, in good conscience, take the more athletic player, current, younger Leonard Fournette, greater sign, current Rachaad White. But current day Rachaad White versus current day Leonard Fournette, he's more athletic. He is the starter. He is healthy. It would be Rachaad White over Leonard Fournette.
All right, how about White or Isaiah Pacheco versus the Bengals?
It would be really, really easy to have this one if we knew Leonard Fournette was going to be out, because I do think Rachaad White is an extremely talented player. The game against the New Orleans Saints, that's the Monday night game for Rachaad White versus Isaiah Pacheco against the Cincinnati Bengals. Their defense is pretty good. I'm going to lean Rachaad White, and at the very least, this is a really close. Like I see them very, very similar as far as fantasy output. And when there is a case where it's a true tiebreaker, and I'm like, okay, well, Pacheco probably has the higher, definitely has the higher over/under, the more points scored in the game, but more receptions are going to go to Rachaad White's way. It's a real tiebreaker situation. I like the Monday night game. I like having a player. I like hope going into Monday. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, I just need 20 points from Rachaad White on Monday night, and you've got something exciting to play for. Or same with Thursday, as those tiebreaker players. Only tiebreakers. Don't get too cute with it. But if it's a true tiebreaker, I'll go with the Thursday night and the Monday night games.
And to add that to that, Jerick McKinnon was questionable all week, but he's cleared. He's playing as well on Chiefs, for what it's worth.
What? Why wasn't he on this? Huh?
Yeah, good question.
Come on. Come on, fantasy footballer staff.
All right, here's the one
you beautiful people.
Here's the one you really wanted, Jason.
All right, is this Dameon Pierce?
Rachaad White or Dameon Pierce versus the Browns?
Brooks, what are you doing with Dameon Pierce? What do you think about him as a person?
Wow. He's probably a great guy.
What do you think about him as a football player?
I'm probably going to stick with Rachaad White in this case.
Oh, man. Dameon Pierce has sucked so bad. I mean, he's just been – you got to know when to quit a guy. You know what I mean? Dameon Pierce, it feels like his start was so good, it's really hard to get off of playing him. And Washington and Miami the last 2 weeks, 2.7 fantasy points, 3.1 fantasy points. Those are 2 bad weeks. But he had 6 or 7 games in a row of double-digit fantasy points before that. The matchup at home against Cleveland is good. They lost Brandon Cooks. I just don't think they don't have Rex Burkhead in this game. Look, the Houston Texans stink. Their offensive line stinks. I do see obvious correlation here between when Kyle Allen is the starter at quarterback and Dameon Pierce not being good at running back. Maybe he doesn't know how to hand the ball off properly. But I'm going to go Dameon Pierce. I am not off of Dameon Pierce yet. I believe that there is 0 chance that he does not touch the ball double-digit times. And I guess that's true for Rachaad White as well. So it's a good question between those 2 players. But we've seen enough from Dameon Pierce. And the fact that Rex Burkhead is gone, I think he'll catch a few more passes. And the matchup against Cleveland, they are #bad against running backs. So, the last couple weeks, like against Washington when he had a putrid game, Washington is phenomenal at bottling up the run. So I'm going to trust the Cleveland matchup and take Dameon Pierce by a hair.
All right, Jason, a couple Joshua Palmer questions for you, and we'll go to the people. How about Joshua Palmer or hot waiver wire pickup Zay Jones, the spot start?
That's a really good question. Those are like I feel like those are pretty well comped players as NFL talents. Josh Palmer, if he continues to grow as he becomes a veteran, I think his ceiling is higher than Zay Jones. But right now, today, Zay Jones is probably a better football player than Joshua Palmer is as a veteran. His matchup is just as good. But the Raiders for Palmer and for Zay Jones, Detroit. So I'm going to go with Zay Jones. He was so involved last week. He has no chance of being the 4th target in this offense, whereas that can happen for Joshua Palmer. I like Joshua Palmer. Joshua Palmer was disappointing last week, but I want people to realize he had 7 targets, was on the field 95% of the time, and he's getting thrown the ball by Justin Herbert. So he's a good start, but I like Zay Jones more.
All right, how about George Pickens versus the Falcons or Joshua Palmer?
The Falcons are a good matchup. George Pickens is a dude. He's out there just mossing guys, making great plays, a highlight reel waiting to happen. Brooks, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Over George Pickens' last 4 games, what do you think his average receptions per game are?
3.
You are too high.
Oh,
it is 2.5. He's not had more than 4 receptions in a game in the last month. It's 3-4-3-0 if my memory stands correct. And so Pickens is great. I'm not saying you can't start him. He can easily have 2 touchdowns. But I just would rather have Justin Herbert throwing the ball in a matchup that has a high over-under that you expect to be back and forth. And any kind of PPR, if it's half PPR, full PPR, it's a much easier decision. If you're standard and you're searching for touchdowns, then maybe go Pickens. But I'm taking Joshua Palmer there in a vacuum.
All right, Jason, you ready to go to the people?
Oh, okay.
Stardom, set 'em.
Okay, this is where we're going to go to your questions only. And we'll take these. I will take these. I get to pick these. And I'm going to pick my favorite ones. Let's see here. The questions, they fly in fast. I got to be a quick reader this morning. Let me take a sip of coffee. Okay. All right, let's go. We got Zeke or Lockett in the flex. Lockett has been very, very good. I worry personally about the passing game for the Seahawks this week. I am a big believer in Kenneth Walker and not as big a believer in the awesome talent that we have seen from Geno Smith, from DK Metcalf, and from Tyler Lockett. They're great. They're phenomenal. I worry about them this week the same way that I've worried about offenses playing against the Houston Texans. This current version of the Rams will not score. They will not score many points. That's just they don't have offensive pieces. And so you hope if you're playing Tyler Lockett that you get the touchdown early in the game or you get the bomb, and all of a sudden you're good. Because the second half of this game, I don't think they're throwing the ball much. So I'm going to take Zeke and probably pivot off of, similar tiered players in that Seattle passing attack. I see an Allen Lazard or Mac Hollins. That's a fun one. So you've got Allen Lazard, who was great. Like he started the season just looking like a really solid. He wasn't like wide receiver one, but he just never had bad games. And then you see Christian Watson come to town, and it's like, oh yeah, he's the dude. Allen, you're the number 2, and maybe not even the number 2. Looks like Aaron Jones. Now you've got an injured Aaron Rodgers. I feel like I need to apologize to Mike. He's not here. He would probably go Lazard. That's his dude. But I like Mac Hollins this week. I mean, that matchup, the over-under is phenomenal. I see Mac Hollins as Diet Zay Jones, which, Zay Jones is already a diet. So this is like 0-0. No calories, no sugar, absolutely nothing in here. But I believe Mac Hollins is okay. He was originally going to be in my DraftKings lineup, but I found instead the perfect lineup, which is what I played. All right, next question. Oh, this is good. This is a good player to come up with. Great question to pick out, Jason. Zonovan Knight or Gus Edwards? Zonovan Knight, bam! Zonovan, bam, Knight, the wonderful running back who came in when Michael Carter got injured for the New York Jets. A lot of people spent up and grabbed him for the waiver wire Wednesday, and they're wanting to know, do I start him? I am not in love with Zonovan Knight. I would choose Zonovan Knight as the number 1 New York Jets running back to start. It's a question mark, right? You've got Ty there, and you've got James Robinson, who did we have him on this list? James Robinson is in. He is active. So it's going to be a 3-way committee. I do think Zonovan is the running back to have of that committee. But Minnesota, if there's a place where they are good, it is against the run. I think that the Jets are going to be able to throw the ball a lot. I will take the Gus bus, and in addition to taking the Gus bus, because I take the Gus bus, that means we get to play the Gus bus. And I don't ever like playing it once. Let's go again! I think the Gus bus has a much higher chance at a touchdown, so that's why I will choose the Gus bus. Zonovan, for everyone out there asking, to me, he is he would be basically probably between Mac Hollins and Zay Jones. Like I think he'll have enough work to where he's a flex starter, but he's not someone I'm trying to get in my lineup like, Michael Carter's down, Zonovan was good last week, I've got to play him because James Robinson is active. He wasn't last week. I see another Mac Hollins, Darius Slayton. I'll go Mac Hollins there. Deontay Johnson or Sky Moore? Oh, man. Come on, Jelani Thomas. What kind of hard question is that? Deontay Johnson I'm contractually obligated on brand to usually steer away from Deontay Johnson. It's been a good year for me. I like Sky. This one's tough because when I look at these two players, I like Sky Moore. Like, arrows pointing up. He's getting targets per route run on like 35+% of his routes. That's incredible. 6 targets the last 2 weeks from Patrick Mahomes. Matchup is awesome. Like, yes, Sky Moore, I'm really liking. He's in my DraftKings lineup. Great value. Deontay Johnson, I don't love Deontay Johnson. He hasn't done anything this year, and he hasn't been that good. But then when you like, those are my opinions on those two players. But then when you actually just look at take the names away, and you're like, okay, who's going to play more? Deontay. Who's going to get more targets? Deontay. Who's got a better matchup? Well, for different reasons, they're both good matchups. You want the total points in the game, like environment of the Kansas City Chiefs Cincinnati Bengals game, which is better for Sky Moore. But the Atlanta Falcons, their secondary is they don't have one. So, man, I feel like a judge in this situation would recuse himself because I'm so against Deontay Johnson. So I'm going to recuse myself and go to a different judge, Judge Giamatti. Deontay Johnson or Sky Moore. I laid out the situations. You're going to make the ultimate call there.
Sorry, was that full PPR or not?
Oh, you thought it would be too easy. We'll go half.
Then Sky.
Okay.
Going Sky.
All right. Sky's the limit. Also, we could be related. Jason Moore, Sky Moore. I have not looked up my family tree, so I'm not sure. But definitely possible. All right, let's see here. Other questions of players we haven't talked about. How about Alvin Kamara or Tony Pollard? And this is specifically in a standard league. Love Kamara's playoff schedule. I don't love Kamara's matchup this week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In a standard league, I'm actually going to go Tony Pollard. I think he'll touch the ball just as many times, has a little bit more juice, has a better matchup. How about ETN or Jamal Williams in a full PPR? That one's really tough because both guys have been great for the majority of the season. Like, once Travis Etienne got his shot, he was just really, really great. Obviously let people down last week. 0.5 fantasy points. Got injured. You can't blame the dude. They say he's healthy. As I said, they didn't activate Darnell Anderson, a.k.a. Darrell Henderson. So I do not worry about the foot injury too much. And Jamal Williams has just been a touchdown machine, leading the league, all football leagues. That's true. American football leagues, all of them. He leads the American football leagues in touchdowns in a full PPR matchup against Detroit. Detroit's actually been good against running backs. Oh, brutal. They're against each other. I'm going to go with the more talented player, the more athletic player. That is Travis Etienne. That is really, really close. And if one piece of advice this week will come back to bite me, I would guess it's that one. Oh, here's a good one that I had to make myself, Joshua Palmer or Christian Watson. Two players that their situation looks really good for this week. I'm going Christian Watson. When you have 5 touchdowns in 3 games, you just NBA Jam rules. I don't make the rules. They made it back in the 90s. You know, you're heating up, you're on fire, you just keep shooting the ball. You keep putting the rock in that hoop, and that is Christian Watson this week. All right, questions flying in so fast. Dalvin Cook or Zeke? The situation does not matter. It's Dalvin Cook every week. Zeke is not the dude that Dalvin Cook is anymore. Other questions. Olave or Devontae Smith? Had this been early in the week, I would have gone Devontae Smith. He was going to be my start of the week. And then, my groin. Devontae Smith had a groin issue come up. We don't really know the health of him. He's active. He's in. He's going to be playing.
Yeah, he doesn't have any injury designation.
No injury designation, and the matchup is great. So I totally understand how this is a tough call. The matchup is really good against Tennessee because I think Tennessee's going to bottle up the run for the Eagles. And since Dallas Goedert's been out, it's like 30+% target share for Smith. But Olave's we talked about it on Never Not Working. Olave has been really, really great as a rookie wide receiver, and a lot of historical data that he meets the requirements for say that the next few weeks will be better than his previous 12. So I'm going to stick with Olave here. Let's see. Any other questions of great rapport? Start Pity City, Zay Jones. This is a full PPR. I know Andy and I want to remind everybody, Andy and I have a water bet going this week of Michael Pittman Jr. versus the awful Tower Pair of Camels. Get Andy off that screen. How dare he be on that screen talking trash against Michael Pittman. Look at that. But Michael Pittman Jr., I think, is actually a good enough play to be a flex option. Not a good enough play to play over Zay Jones. Is Zay Jones going to be the trap this week, Brooks? Is that going to be the player that everyone's searching for the crazy, what do you have, like 149 yards, 11 targets last week, was awesome, and now he's got the Detroit matchup, and this we should all see coming that Zay Jones, who often disappoints, is going to disappoint this week?
It's certainly possible.
Yeah, I retract my – so the advice that will come back to haunt basically everyone is Zay Jones if that matchup doesn't hit the expected points bonanza. But nice thing is Detroit's at home. Their offense plays great at home. The Jags aren't like the worst defense in the league, but they certainly can be beat by the Detroit offense, and Detroit's defense – can't stop anyone. So I will continue rolling with Zay Jones as that spot start. Let's see here. We got time for one final question. And good news, it's going to be yours. Yeah, you. And you are asking your question. I'm going to answer it right now. This question comes in from John Peterflich. His question is, Watson or Evans, half PPR. Mike Evans or Christian Watson. Mike Evans has been putrid lately. Oh, man, that's an update. Do we have an update on Marshawn Lattimore? Quickly, Brooks.
I'll check on that.
We need to find that out. Either way, I am going to go with Christian Watson. Mike Evans is a great player. You're probably going to keep starting him. I know he's in my league of record lineup still, even though he's been putrid the last 3 weeks. Because he's Mike Evans, he's going to get it together at some point. But if you've got Christian Watson, a guy who's been on fire, you can't start Mike Evans over Christian Watson against the Bears, who have really sold all their defensive pieces. So that will do it. That will do it for today. Footclan, we love you. We appreciate you. We want you to go out and win. I hope we got to enough of your questions. You guys are what we're here for. Let's go get the W this week. Let's have an awesome Week 13. Make the playoffs. Championships abound. #FootClan title.